So welcome to my top 10 GameCube games episode. And I've really wanted to come in and talk a little bit more about the GameCube because to me, it's a very underappreciated system. There were so many people at the time saying, oh my god, Nintendo is doomed, they're doomed. And I was one of the people that bought the GameCube as the day it was released, and I loved it. There was so many incredible games on this machine, and I think over time, in looking back, I think a lot more people can see that now. And I just want to come in and talk about my top 10 that I think are really great, but obviously I have some honorable mentions in here. Wave Race, Blue Storm. I love this game. This was a launch game on the GameCube, and I loved Wave Race in general. I think we should, be getting in the future some more Wave Race games. I hope Nintendo remembers this incredible little franchise they started. It seems that they've forgotten all about it. Another really great game was Smash Brothers. Now, I got something to admit. I didn't really like the N64 version of the game. I never could get with the program. But this game, I remember seeing the opening cinematic movie and just being blown away. And then playing the game and seeing all of the fanfare, the Earthbound stages. I was sold. I thought it was really great. Obviously, in here as well, we have to mention The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, the GameCube version. I'm just showing that just for, because we have to. Resident Evil 1. Oh my god, was this ever a fantastic remake on the GameCube. At the time, I had never seen graphics like it. I remember saying at the time, this is photorealistic. This is almost like real life. I look back on it now and it's really good, but it's definitely not those things. But it showed that we were becoming a step closer to that kind of style of graphics, and this game really took it to that level. Now, here's another game that deserves some mention. This was trending on Twitter. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. Everybody was saying, we definitely need to get a remake, a remaster of this game. I agree. Something horrible happened when I was doing this episode. I opened up my copy of the game to capture footage for it. I cannot find the game. I don't know where it is. I don't know what happened to it. I used to have parties over here a few years ago, and I let some people into the games room that maybe I shouldn't have. Some things have disappeared. There's no way I would have lost that. But anyways, we're on to the top 10 list, and I have to say this. This is just my top 10 list. This is not reflecting all of your top 10 lists. These are just some games to me that I really enjoyed on the machine that really meant something to me. And I finished all of these games. Isn't that ridiculously crazy? Number 10, we're beginning. Number 10, Resident Evil 4 by Capcom. This was a hugely hyped game. We were just coming off the amazing Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. We were going to get number 4, and it was going to go a very different direction in a lot of ways. Not the same kind of zombies. More like these cult members, and I just want to say, I adored this game. I thought the graphics were unbelievable at the time. It was a very difficult game, a very haunting game, a very surreal game. I loved everything this had to offer, and then some. I know a lot of people don't like this game. Isn't that nuts? My friend Rob doesn't like this game. He thinks it steers too far away from what made, Resident Evil, but I still think that they did a remarkable job. I like the cult members. I liked the ambience and the feeling of all of that. And yes, it's different, but I like different, and I liked Resident Evil 4. So that was number 10. Number 9 was pretty much a launch game for the GameCube. And I'm going to mention a couple of games here. Pikmin 1 and 2. Pikmin 1 and 2. I love both these games. I'm just going to talk about the first game for a second. This game, the nostalgic memories, I remember hearing about Miyamoto in his backyard, and he was looking at his gardening and stuff like that, and he got the idea for Pikmin. And I remember looking at all the screenshots going, oh my god, anything this guy does is going to be great. And it was. It was like playing in your backyard where, everything, you have like cans and stuff, and you have all these little creatures running around them. And you can pick things up and bring them back to your ships, and you've got an entire army of Pikmin at your disposal to do with as you pleased. And there was something so fascinating about it. and the music brings a tear to my eye and takes me back to the GameCube launch. And just playing that game the first few months was absolutely magical. It was like being a kid revisiting your backyard again. They did a really remarkable job. At number 8, I'm pimping the shirt. A game that came out that a lot of people kind of said, oh God, what kind of cash-in garbage is this? Oh, Luigi? Oh, we like Luigi, but he's in a mansion walking around? Oh, that can't be any good. And I was one of the few people, I remember being on internet forums at the time going, no, I think this is going to be really cool. And people going, no, it's going to be crap. And it ended up being really good. Very short. That's the number one fault of the game. And that's Luigi's Mansion. And there's my copy, signed by Charles Martinet, the voice actor. Phenomenal voice actor, but a phenomenal game. And this is a game that I really recommend people play on Halloween. It's a game you always should be digging up and playing. I loved it. There was something so fascinating about Luigi exploring this haunted mansion and fighting against all these ghosts, with his backpack. I thought it was phenomenally interesting, and I like the music, I like the ambiance. I think they really created something special, and they did create a brand new franchise, and I don't think enough people played it. I still talk to people now that are like, oh, I've never played Luigi's Mansion. I'm like, what, really? Well, I'm very excited that a third one is coming out very soon, and it can't come soon enough because I can't wait to jump back into the world of Luigi's Mansion. Really great stuff. Okay, another game that was getting released, and a lot of people passed on it. This is in the beginning, folks, on the GameCube. It's a big franchise now, but it wasn't then. It was a bit of a gamble. And people thought this was a children's game. And in a lot of ways, it is. But the addiction is real for the adults as well. And I picked this game up. And I remember people, again, I was on forums. That's what you were all on back then, going, oh, really? You're getting Animal Crossing? That sounds so stupid. Oh my God. Little creatures in a town and little animals in a town. I was like, I like this. I like the idea of getting up every day in the game and going and doing mundane tasks. I like that idea and creating a little bit of a community and stuff like that. And let me just say, I turned my game on. I still have my save file from when this game first came out, which is like, oh my God, so many years ago now. And it's interesting. My character is wearing all Sega gear. I mapped that into the game. So my character's walking around. He's wearing like a bandana with Sega on it and a Sega shirt in a Nintendo game. I loved it. And this is so funny. My wife really has gone into this game over the years as well. But there's something magical and there was something unknown about the first Animal Crossing. You really didn't know. There wasn't videos showing everything. There wasn't video reviews like there is now, so you were going in still a little blind even at this time. And I got so much out of this game, and hundreds of hours with Animal Crossing, and damn all those people for saying it was a children's game. I'm a child at heart and I loved it. I thought it was great. Okay, a game that people still want a sequel to. We still haven't had a sequel to it. Maybe that will change in time. I hope it does. I loved the original on the Super Nintendo, and I definitely loved F-Zero GX. This was a wonderful racing game on the GameCube, and at the time, the graphics blew you away. And I had component video cables for my GameCube at the time, and it was a marvel to see some of these games play. I was like, whoa, look at this stuff. But something else about F-Zero GX that I think is really fun, I got addicted to this game with one of my friends, Gary. And I've mentioned him a couple of times on the show, but I kept getting the high score in this game, and he kept trying to beat me. And at the time, it was crazy how amazing at some levels we became. We'd do it over and over, to speed boost after speed boost, just to beat the other guy's score. And I finally hit a score that he couldn't beat, and I was like, yay! And I had a lot of great times playing this game back in the day, and I think we were all waiting to hear something about an F-Zero sequel. Maybe we'll get that in the future. I think people are excited about a sequel because they enjoyed the GameCube game so much and the Super Nintendo game so much. Okay, here is a bit of a controversial game in that, again, people were very hit or miss back then and with things. And people either loved this game or they hated it. And I took a gamble and I imported it. At the time, my GameCube, I had it modded so I could play Japanese and American games on it. And the very first game, I got this the day after it was released in Japan. Again, signed by Charles Martinet, because he was over here hanging out one day. Mario Sunshine. Mario Sunshine. What? I'm going to say it. I love this game. And look at Nintendo. They've never done a remaster or a port of it or anything. They've just kind of let it go. I know sales on this weren't really good. And I think it threw a lot of people off. People were like, oh, the sunny beaches. I was the opposite. I kind of embraced that it was doing something different. Yeah, it wasn't the Mushroom Kingdom, the same as what we were used to in the past. But I liked the idea of it all. I like the flood system, I like the water, I like the beaches, I like the creatures. I like running around, jumping up buildings. I thought this was great. And here, okay, I have a little story time for you. When I had Charles Martinet over here, I asked him not what his favorite Mario game was. I didn't do that, because everybody always asks him that. So I said, what is your favorite, your most nostalgic Mario game? I said, what's the one that you look back on and you have such fond memories of? And he said Mario Sunshine. He really did. He said there was just something, the development team, everybody was really excited about the game. Everybody had a lot of fun making it. And I think it was disappointing that it didn't do as well as it did. I obviously got the American copy when it was released as well. But what can I say? I have a lot of nostalgic memories playing the Japanese version. And just kind of working my way through the game. And I finished the Japanese version. And at the time, I said it was one of the best action platforming games I'd ever played. And at that time, it was. And there's been a lot more amazing games since. But I think Mario Sunshine is one of those games that is really shunned on. And I really hope Nintendo brings it back and does a remaster and maybe fixes up some controls and stuff like that. But I wasn't unhappy with it. Some of the camera angles were a little bit weird, but whatever. Okay, next up, we move on to a Fire Emblem game that, you know, I played the Game Boy games and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were a lot of fun. But this game, I'm going to say it, was like a religious experience for me, because it's one of those things where you're playing it and all of a sudden it hits you like a ton of bricks. I don't just like this game, I'm in love with this game. And I'm a fan for life because of it. And that is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Oh my god, what a wonderful, incredible game this was. And it was so cool to play it on a console, to play it on the TV, and see all my troops, and see all, you know, the commands that I dish out, and oh my god, the battle animations at the time. I finished this game in about 3 sittings because I was so into it. I was just like, go, go, go. And I loved it. I loved the music. I loved all of my troops. I kind of got emotionally involved in my troops, which sounds so silly, but I got to enjoy them as characters. And I had it on the hard mode, so if one of your guys dies, they're gone forever, and I didn't lose anybody. That was one thing I was very, very happy about. And since then, I'm a bit of a Fire Emblem fanatic. I really am. I remember back in the day getting all the amiibos and things like that. And if you want to see where it all began, like, obviously this is all the games before it, but some of the console games that are really good is check this out. It's really fantastic. And obviously, Fire Emblem Three Houses now is one of my favorite Fire Emblem games. It's starting to move up there. At number 3 is a game that I remember at the time, during this era, I wasn't working, and I scraped together the money to be able to pick this up, because there was no way I wasn't getting it, because I think this is one of the most hyped up games at the time, and I think it moved a lot of GameCubes. A lot of GameCubes. Even people that were not believers became a believer because of this one particular game. I had friends of mine that just bought the machine just to play it. For Metroid Prime. Oh my god, this was such a big deal game. Finally, we were getting Metroid on console again, but it had a first-person perspective, and I was the first person, no pun intended, to be completely concerned about that. I was like, ooh, I like the 2D, going into 3D, is it really what I want? I don't know. I still have, to this day, I still have mixed feelings about it because I really enjoyed it, but I also miss the 2D games as well. But we have a lot of those as well. But I think they did a great job, and I think what they've done so well with Metroid Prime is the atmosphere. It just sucks you in, and you just feel a part of the world, and it's huge and scary and mysterious and so perfectly Metroid. I spent so many hours playing this game, loved it, scanning everything you could scan, and oh my god, what are some of your memories playing Metroid Prime? Isn't this an amazing game? It sure was at the time, and man, I'm looking forward to a new console Metroid game in the future. Okay, next up is a game I remember, again, we were going back to forums again, writing on a forum that I just finished the game, and nobody could believe I finished it so fast because, again, at the time I wasn't working and all I cared about was video games and finishing them and playing the games that I want to. And I just remember at Space World when they showed Mario Sunshine and Wind Waker for the first time, Zelda, the Wind Waker. I was like, oh my god, look at this game. It's like a cartoon. Not so much an anime, but like a cartoon. And it had a very cartoony face, and I know everybody was arguing at the time how much they hated Link's face. They thought it was horrible, and they just didn't like it. And I was a person, I honestly, the glass was, half empty for me, half full. I kind of was like, you know what? I can see what I like about this game. Yeah, I had some reservations about the facial stuff, but I was like, the animation's so good in this game, and I started playing it, and I really went into the world. And let me say, so many complaints about this game over the years has been about the water and how long it takes to get from one place to another. And I've often said this, which is a funny thing. At the time, I was a smoker, so when I was crossing the water in the game, I just light a cigarette and look up at the ceiling and go, man, this is such a relaxing game. And I love this game. I love the remaster that came out on the Wii U. And this game, though, oh my god, it's absolutely perfect. I think it's a really good Zelda game. I understand a lot of people didn't like it. It was very different. It was taking people out of their comfort zones, especially from Ocarina of Time and stuff like that. But hey, I embraced it. I enjoyed the water and ocean mechanics of it all. Are we at that point now? We are at that point. Number one game on the GameCube for me is a game I spent more hours than all the rest of the games I just mentioned. Hundreds and hundreds of hours. Now, I had mentioned that at my GameCube at the time, I had modded it to play Japanese games. Well, there was a reason for that, because I was looking forward to a certain game. I also needed something else, and I had to import it. Was the broadband adapter. So I could use the internet on my GameCube and high-speed internet at that time, which was great. Unbelievable. So I had this ordered. I had my crazy keyboard for the GameCube ordered. I've shown that in many episodes. Check it out. It's called, I think, The Weirdest Controller episode, where I go in depth about that. And then I did something crazy. Because I knew I was going to do it, I imported this game. And that is Phantasy Star Online episodes 1 and 2. Oh, where does one even start with this? You already know my addiction to Phantasy Star the original, and then Phantasy Star on the Dreamcast. When I heard it was coming to the GameCube and new characters and new levels, my brain melted. And back then, when you really think about how much they added, it wasn't a lot, but man, I was sold. I had a GameCube modded. I got a broadband adapter, got the Japanese game, got the Japanese keyboard. Then I paid a hunter's license just to play the game online, because I was in love with it. And also, I was such a hardcore Phantasy Star Online nut that I had all my friends I played with in America on the Dreamcast version. I wanted to leg up on them. So what I thought was going to happen, I would get the Japanese version, and I'd level up my character, I'd get all the equipment and all the greatest stuff, and then they would link the servers when the American version got released, and it eventually did, right here. I picked up the American copy. And then I know it sounds so bad back then, but I'd have all the bragging rights of all the best equipment and all that. And I lived for that stuff back then. This is my life. I enjoyed it back then. It was so funny. And then the day came when I heard they weren't linking the servers. and there was a little small part of myself that died inside. I was like, all this work, and I had characters maxed. People were duping items back then in the Japanese version. I had every item in the game, every item, everything. This is my addiction. Everything I had. And then something terrible happened. Something horrible happened. My modding switch, there used to be a little switch in the back of my GameCube. I forgot, if you had an American memory card in, and you switched it to the Japanese version or something, it would corrupt. And so I switched it back to American to play a game, and I had my Japanese memory card in, and at the time it completely corrupted. I lost all of my character stuff. Oh my god, I miss, like server saves, man. Server saves. I lost my entire character. I stopped playing the Japanese version instantly. I was so gutted, and I started playing the American version and trying to get involved in that, and I did. I got a character to level 100 in like a day and a half. I was very fast back then. I knew all the shortcuts to be able to do it. But it was never the same for me. It was never... after I lost my Japanese characters with all the equipment, it was... ugh. Anyways, I'm not ending on a sad note, because the GameCube was a wonderful era. And I played so many other great GameCube games. And in the future, I'm going to show my GameCube collection and talk about more of the games and why I enjoyed them all. And it was such a wonderful time. I was just... at the time, not working for a lot of the games and just playing video games. And it's kind of it's funny, I think back with a lot of fond memories. I've never in my life said, oh my god, I wasted so much of my life playing video games. No, it's exactly the opposite. I look back and go, man, was I ever happy to spend like 300 hours playing Phantasy Star Online episodes 1 and 2. It was so much fun. But what are some of your guys' favorite GameCube games? Let me know in the links down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.